Alrighty, y'all, welcome back into another live stream. Let me go ahead and fix my monitor because I had to unplug it and replug it back in. Let's see here, properties. And let me make sure I select this one. There we go. Okay. So this is going to be the same exact thing that we did in the previous stream. We're going to go through and record basically 2 more episodes of Let's Build Twitter today. That's the goal. I have like 6 episodes to record and 3 to edit before I go on vacation. Or it's not really vacation because I'm still going to be working like a couple of the weeks, but I'm going to be away from my home computer, obviously. So kind of vacation again away from YouTube. Basically the goal is to record everything so I can get my main branch up to date and like branch off and work on it while I'm up in Iowa. But I also just want to basically have enough videos for a month, basically, so that I have the week before I leave, the 2 weeks I'm gone, and then a week after I get back, basically. That way I just have some leeway, but I also want to go through and record some shorts. I want to try to do shorts, upload a short every single day. So of the year this year, just to see if it helps or hurts my channel. I don't know how it's going to hurt it, but it might help. I don't know. But that's kind of where we're sitting at. We need to record 2 more today. Technically, I only need 1 more recorded for all the videos I need. But then I need to edit basically 1 per day for the next 3 days. And then I'm good to go there. Next week, I'm going to be hustling on uploading and getting all the videos ready. So I'll probably live stream on Monday. And then after that, I probably won't live stream for the rest of the week. And then we'll be heading out. So that's kind of how things are going to go. Again, you see the big recording in progress. So I won't be able to see you guys' chats today, unfortunately. Again, on Monday, I'll be able to see chats and chat with y'all. So, and then whenever I get back, we're going to probably be recording, or we'll probably be live streaming the Freedom Tracker, probably on Wednesdays at least. And then we might go back to our variety on Friday, where we just pick a game and play a game. We'll see. But with that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into our recording. Again, I won't be able to see y'all's messages until in between takes. So let's go and get into this. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys do want access to the private repository, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the channel tier membership for private repositories. That will go ahead and unlock you a form that you can go ahead and request access to this repository and any other repository I might have to unlock. With that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Today we're going to go ahead and continue working inside of the info pane, and we're going to go ahead and try to get rid of all these message conversation info card skeletons and then actually make them into real components. Then we might also work on leaving / kicking people from a conversation. So with that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into the code, get to work, and see where we get to today. Back in our front end here, we need to go ahead and make a new component. Let's go ahead and open up our features, our messaging, and our components. And here we're going to go ahead and make our message conversation info option card / message conversation info option card.tsx, and then a message conversation info option card.css. This is basically just going to be like I don't want to call it like a standard placeholder component, but this is going to be just like a standardized card that we can render things inside of. Let's go and import our React from React. So let's also go ahead and import our / and then this is message conversation and then info option card.css. Go and make our skeleton component, export const message conversation info option card is a react.fc, and then we'll go ahead and do our arrow function. So let's go ahead and bring this out, and then we'll go ahead and return a div, the class name equal to message conversation info option card. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So it's going to take in some props so we know what to render. I'm going to say interface message and conversation info option card props, like so. Inside, we're going to have the position of the card, which is a string. We're going to go and have our leading component, which is a React, React.React node. Then we'll have our content of the card, which is a React.React node. We're going to have a trailing item, trailing question mark. This is optional, React.React node. And then we're going to go ahead and say on click is an optional. And then this is going to be React.Mouse event. And then this will be on an HTML div element. Thought I heard my daughter, sorry y'all. And then this is going to be a void. It looks like she's still sleeping, so we're good to continue recording. So let's go ahead and bring this in. Here we're going to go ahead and have our message conversation info option props like so. Let's open this, and then we'll have our position. We'll go ahead and have our leading, our content, then our trailing, and then our on click. All right, so this is going to be like how we bring in the different pieces of state, or I guess components that we want to render in here. Then inside, we're just going to go ahead and say const, and then handle card clicked is equal to e, and then not that. Let me fix this. E React.Mouse event on an HTML div element. Let's go ahead and make our arrow function. We're going to e.propagation, because we could also click on like the trailing in some parts, so we want to be careful about that. And then if we have an on click, we're going to go ahead and call that on click and then pass in e. Cool. So that's all of the state and stuff, and this is going to be very simple. Inside of this, we're going to go and bring this down just to clean it up a little bit. Bring this down to clean it up a little bit. And then we're just going to go ahead and say class name. And this is kind of a mouthful, so this was just our placeholder. We're going to wrap this, do backticks, and then do backticks. And then we still have a message information card. We're also going to go ahead and have message dash conversation info card dash $ curly brace, and then the position. So if it's the first, it's the middle, or the last. And then we're also going to go ahead and on click equal to, and this is going to be handle card clicked. So really, position probably shouldn't be a string. It should probably be like first, middle, or last, but it is what it is. Then we're going to go and have a div class name equal to, and this is message conversation info, and then option card dash content. Here inside the content, we'll have our leading content, leading content, and then we'll have our content itself. And then we'll go ahead and check to see if we have a trailing. So if trailing question mark, we'll go ahead and render the trailing inside of a set of fragments. So trailing, otherwise we'll just render an empty fragment. Or we could have done like null there, but it is what it is. So literally this is all it is. We're just going to inject whatever content we want to display, but this is going to go ahead and give us a nice little card that we can go ahead and render multiple times. So now let's go ahead and hop into the CSS and actually style this bad boy. Inside the CSS, let's start with the message conversation dash info dash option. Or actually, it's just info card. I don't know why I didn't call it option card. Hopefully I spelled the other one right. So width is going to take up 100% of the space that we have. The height is going to be 48, 48, if I could type 48 px tall. We're going to go ahead and have a padding of 12 px on it. We're going to display, display flex it, and then we're going to justify content. I spelled something wrong, and space dash between. What's going on with this? Display flex. Did I miss a semicolon or something? I'm not sure. My whatever it's called is broken. There we go. Align items in the center. We have a border, border of none, and then a border or a background, background dash color, and this one is going to be F6, F8, F8. It's like a very light color that Twitter uses. Very hard to see, but it is there. We have a message, conversation, info, info, maybe, can't type, card, and then colon hover. And then this part gets a little bit finicky because we have issues. We're gonna have like a pop-up that shows up, but whenever we hover over the pop-up, we don't want to actually also hover this. So we're gonna go ahead and say not, and then we're gonna say has, and then this is gonna say dot message dash page dash group dash user dash more dash pop-up colon hover. So this is going to be another class that we create later, but if we're not hovering over that pop-up, basically we're going to have a cursor, a pointer, and we're going to have a background, background color RGBA 0,0,0. We're going to say 0.05. We don't want too dark. Next, we're going to have our not message dash conversation, I could type dash info dash card, and then dash first. So that's that first position. Here we're gonna have a border top dash right and radius. So this is gonna be 12px. We're gonna have a border dash top dash left, left radius, if I could type, and 12px. And we're gonna have a border on the bottom, border dash bottom, and 1px, solid pound, and this is gonna be E1, and then E8 ED, like so. Cool. Then we're gonna have a dot message dash conversation info card dash middle. If we're in the middle, we're gonna have a border on the bottom, and then this is gonna be 1px solid, and then same thing, E1 E8 ED. And then we're gonna have our dot message dash conversation info card, and then last. And then here we're gonna have a border dash bottom dash left dash radius. Here we're gonna say 12px. We're gonna have a border dash bottom dash right radius of 12px. Okay, that's all we have in there. Then we'll have our dot message dash conversation dash info dash card dash content. And then inside our content, we're gonna go ahead and display flex this. We're gonna go ahead and justify content in the flex dash start. And then we're going to go ahead and align items in the center and have a gap of about 12px. So this is a pretty simple component, pretty simple styling, nothing crazy going on here. Now we need to go ahead and create a couple of components back inside of our info pane. We're going to make one with this message info card, and then we're going to go ahead and create another SVG and then create the other one. I also want to go ahead and double check the CSS on this to make sure we didn't have info option card in this class names. Info, we do have info option card, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back and add option in all of those. Let's make sure we have info and then dash option card, come back over here, info, and then dash option card, info, and then dash option, dash option, dash, and then let's see, option, and then finally info dash, and then option. I just don't want this to be broken. Now let's go ahead and hop back into our info option pane. So back in our info option pane, let's go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. So this is going to be another component that we just kind of only use in here, so we threw it at the bottom of this component. So let's go ahead and say const, and then report conversation. This is a react.fc. This is going to take in one piece of state, which is, and then group chat, and then this is a boolean. Let's go ahead and do one of these. Equal to is group chat, like so. Okay, let's give ourselves a little bit of space here. So here, all we're gonna do is just return, and then inside we're gonna go ahead and have a message conversation option card, like so. And then in here, position is gonna go ahead and equal to, we need to check is group chat, question mark. If it's group chat, it's gonna be first. Make sure we lowercase first, otherwise it's gonna go ahead and be middle. Okay, And then our leading is going to equal to, if I could type, our flag SVG. Let's go and bring that in. Here we're going to say our height is equal to 20. Maybe if I could type, our width is going to be equal to 20. And then our color is just going to be black. So it's going to go ahead and say #000. Go and close that. And then also let's make sure we close out of the leading as well. There we go. Broke it. And then our content is going to equal to, here we're just going to go ahead and have a div with a class name equal to, and this is message page conversation, and then info dash pane dash then dash text. So this was one of those ones in one of the previous episodes that I was like, hey, we don't use this yet, we'll come back and do it. So we'll come back and add this class in later. And then this will go ahead and say report and conversation. And then we just need to go ahead and close out of this. So that is literally all we do there. And then we're going to go ahead and use it up above. But now we need to go back through and actually grab another SVG from Twitter so that we can display the leave conversation. Let's go ahead and open up our Explorer really quick. We'll go into our components and go into our SVGs. Here we're going to go ahead and create a message leave svg.tsx. Go and open this up. We'll just go ahead and import our SVG props really quick from our global interfaces. And we're going to export default function. And then this is message leave leave SVG. Takes in props, which is our SVG props. And open this, open up our return. Let's go and hop onto Twitter to grab the return here. So in Twitter, it's going to be, where'd it go? I guess it's not in here. This one's delete conversation. Of course, they changed it again. This used to match, but here's our leave. Let's go ahead and inspect. We'll go and copy it. Again, I'm going based off of what I had previously. I'm not going based off of what it looks like now. So if it changed, it is what it is. Hop back in here. Let's go ahead and paste this in. And then I'm going to go and clean this up and I'll be right back with y'all. Now we've got our cleaned up SVG. Let's go ahead and do the height and width and stuff. So in here, we're going to go ahead and say height is equal to props.height. We're going to go ahead and say width is equal to props.width. And then we're going to go ahead and come above RD. We're going to say fill is equal to props.color, question mark, going to be props.color. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say #000 for just black. Looks good. So now we can go ahead and hop back into our info pane again and continue working on our leave conversation component. Back in here, let's come to the bottom. Let's go and say const leave conversation. Leave conversation is a react.fc. And this is going to go ahead and take in some props as well. So here, this is going to go ahead and take in is group chat, which is a boolean, and then it's also going to go ahead and take in handle leave conversation, which is going to be a function, takes an e react.mouse event, mouse event on HTML div element, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, it is a div element, and returns void. Returns void. There we go. So this is kind of ugly, but it is what it is. Go ahead and break apart is group chat, and then handle leave. If I could type conversation, go ahead and make this, open this up, go ahead and give ourselves some space here. So here, once again, was literally going to go ahead and return. And then inside the return, we're just going to go ahead and have our message conversation info option card. Here, position is going to equal to last. So go ahead and just put that. It's going to be last for both of them. Leading is going to go ahead and equal to, and here we're going to have our message leave SVG. Here, height will equal 20 again. Our width will also equal 20, but now our color is going to go ahead and equal to red. Go ahead and close this off. Make sure we don't close the leading too early. Content is going to go ahead and equal to, and here we're going to have a div. Maybe a div. Oh my goodness. With a class name equal to message page conversation info pane, and then dash text. I typoed up there. I'll fix that in a second. And then we're going to go ahead and have a style equal to, and then color red because I'm lazy. I don't want to make another class for this. And here we're going to go ahead and have is, and then is group chat. Maybe is group chat question mark. If it's a group chat, it's going to go ahead and say leave conversation like so. And it's actually lowercase, so leave conversation. And then otherwise, it's going to go ahead and say delete conversation. Delete conversation like so. Then we need to go ahead and close out of that. Looks good. And then we need an on click on this guy. And it's going to be handle leave conversation. We need to go ahead and close this. And then here we have info page, just be info pane. Go and fix that. Info pane, then text. And there's no errors, so everything looks good. Terrific. So now that's that. Now basically what we need to go ahead and do is, since we have this handle leave conversation, I want to hop onto the Java code and actually add in the code to handle leaving or removing a user from a conversation. And then we'll circle back and finish up the rest of this and then put in all the rest of the conversation info cards. So let's hop into Java real quick and update the methods to be able to remove or delete a conversation. In Java, we need to go ahead and work in our conversation service. I'm just going to go ahead and come down below where we worked last time, so underneath the update conversation name. And this is going to go ahead and be a public, and we are going to go ahead and return the entire conversation here. This is going to be remove user or delete conversation. Now, it doesn't really make much sense to return the entire conversation if we're deleting it, but you'll see why we do it for the front end purposes in a second. Going to take in an integer and conversation ID, and it's going to go ahead and take in an application user. Okay, and then here, so we have an issue here because I had planned to do some stuff earlier, but now it kind of is scuffed. So I'll have to probably come back and deal with this later, or we're gonna have to do it now, I guess. How do we want to deal with this? Let me scroll down to the next episode where this code is actually at. Yeah, so we need to go ahead and actually, I'm sorry y'all, hop into the model, and we're going to do some stuff that I hadn't planned to do yet. But what can you do? Let's go ahead and return null for a second. Let's go ahead and hop into our model here. So our models and then conversation. So we need to go ahead and add in who this was created by. So I'm going to go ahead and come below our muted users. We're going to say at mini to 1 like so, then at join column, and this is going to go ahead and be name equal to created underscore by. Here we're going to go and say a private application user, and then conversation creator like so. And then we just need to go ahead and create a setter for this. So if we come down here and space CA, go ahead and generate a getter and setter. I did not put it where I wanted it. I might have put it at the bottom. That's fine, because we're going to go ahead and recreate this toString hash code and equals, which I don't think we did in the previous episodes, which probably not great on my part, but it is what it is. We haven't had anything too catastrophic go wrong. Let's come down here, and I think this is the last time we actually have to modify this anyway. So let's go ahead and generate our toString. We'll go ahead and include everything. I don't ever remember having a major issue with this, so go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do the hash code and equals. Famous last word, so I'm sure it's going to break all of a sudden, even though I never had any issues previously. It is what it is. Okay, so there's our hash code and equals. Whoops, make sure it looks pretty. Now we have our conversation creator. And then we just need to go ahead and now hop back into the conversation service and update it so that whenever we create the user, we actually have that in there. So let's go and hop in the conversation service. Now in our conversation service, whenever we read or create a conversation, we also want to go ahead and add in the creator ID, so integer initiator. And this is going to break some stuff for a second. And then now whenever we go through and call, let me see here, conversation repository, there should be a place where we create a new here, I believe. So if the conversation is null, we're going to go ahead and say conversation. And this is, I did this on line 78, but I think it's because we just didn't add a new line or something. Let's see here. Oh, it's because up here, we're going to go ahead and say, let's see here, we say application user creator is equal to conversation users dot stream. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and say dot filter. We're going to filter by user and then user dot get user ID, like so, and then is equal to the initiator. If I could type initiator, I think I spelled that right. I think I need to spell that right. Initiator, and then we're going to go ahead and say dot find first, maybe find first. I typoed something here. We'll figure out what's going on. Dot or else null. Let's figure out what's wrong with this. It's because I added an extra equal to, like it's in JavaScript. Okay, and then or else. We need to say or else and then pass in null. There we go. So now we have the creator. Now we come down here. We go ahead and say conversation dot set conversation creator to that conversation creator, or we just call it creator, like so. Okay, so there's that bit. Now we go ahead and bring up the rest of this code because we also need to make some changes in the conversation controller and stuff. So let me go ahead and bring this code up as well. One second here. Let me bring this code up to where we're working today. We're still going to be a little bit out of order here, but now we can go ahead and come back into, let's see here. Now we can go back down here and start working on the remove user, and then we'll go ahead and work on the other stuff as we get going here. So we're going to say conversation is equal to this dot find by ID, and then pass in that conversation ID. Then we're going to go ahead and say if the conversation dot get conversation users, and then we're going to say dot size is equal to 2. Then we're going to go ahead and say conversation repository dot delete, if I could type delete, there we go, that conversation. I'm just going to go ahead and return that conversation back. We'll have some logic to handle that on the front end as well. And then we're going to say list application user. So if it's like a group chat, we're just removing ourselves, removing someone else. We'll go ahead and just say conversation users is equal to conversation get conversation users, and then we're going to go ahead and say dot stream, like so. Then we're going to go ahead and say dot, and then filter. Here we're going to go ahead and say filter, and then u. We're going to go ahead and say u dot get user ID, and then we're going to go ahead and say not equal to the user dot get user ID, like so. Okay, and I don't know where users come from. It's come from the request. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and say dot collect, and this is going to go ahead and be collectors dot to list, like so. Then we're going to go and collect that to a list. Then we need to go ahead and check to see if the user dot get user ID is equal to the conversation dot get creator. So let's find get creator dot get user ID. This is the easiest way to check to see if they're actually the same. If that's the case, we're going to say conversation dot, and we're going to go ahead and set conversation creator, and we're going to go ahead and say conversation users dot get, and then 0 is going to assign it to like the first person in that list. Might not be the right way to do that, but it is what it is. Right now we're going to go ahead and say conversation dot set conversation users to that new filtered user, so that conversation users, and then we're going to go ahead and return the conversation. We need to go ahead and first save the conversation with the updated users. Conversation repository dot save the conversation like so, and then we can go ahead and return that updated conversation. And then are there any errors? No errors. It is, I don't know why it's compiling successfully, because we need to go back and fix a couple things, specifically in the find conversation request. But that's going to be how we remove or delete a conversation. So remove a user or delete a conversation. Now we need to go ahead and make a change inside of the find conversation request DTO to add that initiator. So let's do that. So in here, underneath our list IDs, we're going to go ahead and say private integer initiator, like so. Then we'll go ahead and just delete all this and regenerate it. It is what it is. Delete this. Didn't delete. Why did you not delete? Copy this. Delete it. There we go. We'll go ahead and do constructors with nothing. Constructor. Whoops, I want to do another constructor. Let's go ahead and try this again. Go and do another constructor with everything, and then we'll go ahead and do a toString. I don't think we need a hash code equals, to be honest, so just clean that up a little bit. Oops. Now it's mad at us, obviously, because we need to go ahead and fix the conversation controller. So let's go ahead and deal with that as well. So let's hop into the conversation controller. So now in our conversation controller, now we're going to go ahead and pass in the body.get initiator. So body.get initiator, like so. Then we also need to go ahead and make the put mapping for the remove user or delete conversation. So we're going to go and say at put mapping is going to be to slash, and then we're going to go ahead and call this users slash remove. In here, we're going to go ahead and say public conversation, and then remove user or delete conversation, like so. In here, we're going to go and have our at request body, at request body, and then this is going to be an update conversation name or users request and body. Here, we're going to go ahead and return our conversation and service dot remove user or delete. So this is going to be body.get conversation ID, and then this is going to go and be body.get and then user. So that'll go ahead and deal with that. Now it says it's a compilation error, but it shouldn't be, and that's all good to go. So now things are going to get even more confusing because we need to go ahead and grab more code from the next episode. So let me go ahead and grab that real quick, and then we'll get started again. right, so I think I got the code that we needed moved over. So now we need to hop in the front end and update the conversation interface in global interfaces. That way it can include the creator conversation or conversation creator. So back in our front end, let's go and open up our global interfaces. So now let's find our conversation. Now here in our conversation, let's go ahead and say our conversation creator. Whoops, conversation creator is a user. Now we need to go ahead and update the message slice to be able to actually pass that initiator back. So in our message slice, we want to go ahead and look for our, I believe it's called open conversation payload. So let's go ahead and try to find that here. So now in open conversation payload, we're going to go ahead and say user is a number. And then let's also go ahead and create the async thunk really quick, or actually we can update the first async thunk. So let's go ahead and in our load conversations, I believe, let's see here, or is it open conversation? It might be open conversation. Let's see here, open conversation. We have our user IDs here. So now we're going to also go ahead and include the initiator, which is going to go ahead and be our payload.user. Okay, now we can come down here to the bottom and generate the next async thunk that we need to remove a user. So come down here, below here, we're going to say export const, and this is going to go ahead and be called leave conversation. Leave conversation is equal to create async thunk. Now we're going to have another one later on specifically for removing a user, but we're not going to get to that one today. Message/leave. All right, so now we have message/leave. Go ahead and say async, and then this is going to be a payload with the update conversation users payload, and then we'll have our thunk API as well. Let's open this up, set up a try and a catch an E, and in this case we're going to return thunk API dot reject with value and then pass in E. Otherwise, let's come up to the try. We're going to say let body equal to, and here our conversation ID will equal to payload.conversation ID, and then we'll go ahead and have our user, so payload.user. All right, looks good. Come down below, we'll say let res equal to await, and then Axios dot, and then this one's a put request to http:// localhost 8000 /conversation/user/ remove. We're going to have a body on that, obviously, and then we're going to go ahead and have our headers. Go and open up our headers. Inside our headers, we'll go ahead and have backticks. Whoops, backticks, if I could type. This is going to be, actually we want this first, authorization. Then we're going to have our backticks, bear, and then $ curly brace, our token. All right, now once that res comes back, we can go ahead and return res.data. So there is that. And this should be payload.token. Let me fix that, payload.token. Much better. So now we have the ability to leave the conversation. Now let's come down here and add the builder for this. So I went a little bit too far. Now we have our rename conversation, builder.add case, and I spelled builder wrong. Builder.add case, there we go. And this one is going to go ahead and be leave conversation.fulfilled. Then we're going to go ahead and have our state, our action, and our arrow function. So here it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and return, and this is going to go ahead and be ... state. We're going to go ahead and set our selected conversation to undefined because the user just left it or deleted it. Then we're going to go ahead and say conversations are going to go ahead and be state.conversations and then .filter. Then we're going to go ahead and filter out C, where C.conversation, whoops, not S, C.conversation ID is not equal to action.payload, whoops, .conversation ID. So that's why we went ahead and passed back the entire conversation there, because we need to be able to filter it out whenever we get back into the front end. Cool. So now what we need to go ahead and do is update a couple things that create the message so it passes that initiator. So let's first go into the create message modal top where we can create a conversation. So in here, this is mad at us because we need to go ahead and pass in that user. We're going to say user, and this is going to be user state dot logged in dot user ID. That should fix that. And we also need to go ahead and go into the create message user card to be able to do this. So inside our create message user card, we should also see an issue somewhere right here. Let's go ahead and pass in this as well. So we're going to go ahead and say user. It's going to be, whoops, and this is user state dot logged in dot user ID, like so, and voila. So now I think that goes ahead and completes our side missions that I randomly added in. So now let's go ahead and hop back into the info pane where we can go ahead and implement our handle leave conversation function. So let's go ahead and scroll up to where we have our handle leave conversation. And hopefully this doesn't have a bunch of bugs because I added a bunch of work in time. This recording wasn't supposed to be this long. But we're going to go ahead and check to see if we have our token and we're logged in, whoops, and logged in. And we also have our conversation selected, which we should at this point, but this is just to be safe. So if we have all those, we're going to go ahead and dispatch. We're going to go ahead and dispatch our leave conversation that we just created. Make sure this comes from here. And then inside of this, we're going to open up an object. Here we have our conversation ID, which is going to be the conversation, conversation.conversation ID. We're also going to go ahead and have our user. It's going to be the logged in user that's leaving, and they're going to have our token. And then if this goes through, we're going to go ahead and have our navigate. I want this inside the if statement. There we go. We're going to go ahead and call navigate. We're going to go ahead and navigate back to /messages because we don't have that message open anymore. All right, so now we have our handle leave conversation. Now we can come through here and start replacing some of these skeleton code. So if we come down to about line 161, this says 225, but I think it's because we don't have all of the logic in here yet. But we're going to go ahead and bring in our report and conversation like so. And then here we're going to say is group chat is equal to is group chat like so, and just close that off. So nice. Have our leave conversation. Here we're going to go and say is group chat is equal to is group chat again, like so. And then we're going to go and have our handle leave conversation is equal to handle leave conversation. So easy enough. Okay, let's go ahead and come down here. So we'll go ahead and come back to this conversation info card. I want to go ahead and get rid of these report conversations. So report conversation, and then we're going to go ahead and as group chat is equal to is group chat like so. Then we're going to have our leave conversation. Okay, leave conversation is group chat is equal to is group chat. And then we're going to go ahead and have our handle leave conversation is equal to, and then handle leave conversation. All right, make sure there's no errors. I accidentally put a space here. And there we go. So those look good. Now basically what we need to go ahead and do is go through and add in these different info option cards. But first I need to go ahead and grab a screenshot SVG from Twitter. So let's open this up. And let's go into our SVGs. We're going to go ahead and call this screenshot and then settings svg.tsx like so. Let's go and open this up, and then let's go and import our svg props from our // and we need to go all the way to our utils / global interfaces. I don't know why it didn't want to import for us. Export default function, and then we call this screenshot settings svg. And then let's go ahead and open this up. Props are svg props return, open this up, and then we go ahead and show you guys where to grab this from. So here on Twitter, if we go to like a single person conversation like this one, there should be a screenshot settings. Go and grab this, copy this SVG, and copy element. Let's go ahead and hop back in here and paste it in. Let me clean it up and I'll be right back with y'all. All right, now that's cleaned up, let's come up here. Let's go and set up the props. We're going to go ahead and say height, whoops, is equal to props.height. Go and say width is equal to props.width. And then let's go ahead and come down here and say fill is equal to props.color, question mark, props.color. Otherwise, it'll go ahead and be #000. Make sure we put this in a string. All right, so that is our settings, or whatever, screenshot settings SVG. And let's go ahead and hop back into the info pane and implement the rest of our conversation info option cards. In hindsight, now that I add the other stuff, this probably should have been in the next episode, but it is what it is. And you know what? I think I'll probably go ahead and do that. So I am going to go ahead and end it off here, just because the next episode is going to be very short after I removed all of that other logic. So we can at least take a look at what the leave conversation, report conversation look like, and then see if it's going to let us do that. But we are getting pretty long, and then I can go ahead and just transplant the code that was supposed to be in this episode in the next one. So let's go ahead and hop into Flitter and just make sure everything's looking good, because we are pushing 45 minutes and I might need to debug still. So back on Flitter, we need to refresh. Now we deleted our conversations, so let's go ahead and make a few conversations. Go ahead and make one with Rick, whoops, with just Rick. And terrific, I broke something in create conversation. Let's double check this. Console, network, go ahead and create, and Rick, pass in Rick, create conversation is not working. Payload, it's coming back. No, internal server error 500. Let's see what's going on with this real quick. Reader, create conversation, list integer. Okay, let's see what's going on with this. Get or create conversation, read or create conversation. Let's see what's going down with this. We added it there. Creator, integer, initiator. Okay, so what's the problem here? Says it's only getting called with list integer. Okay, so why is it not getting the initiator? Try to restart the server again. Maybe it like restarted but didn't restart again. Go and refresh, because I think in our thing there, it looked like it was sending the initiator. We'll have to see. Yeah, okay, it looks like the server just didn't restart. Okay, let's go ahead and make a couple of these. Let's go ahead and make a Rick and Morty. Then let's also go ahead and make a Rick, make a Rick, Morty, and Summer. Okay, so if we go ahead and come over here, click on this, and you can see we have these guys. Now for some reason it looks like, oh, it's because it's not going to be the first. Although this one should have the border on the bottom, so I'm not sure what's going down with this. Let's just double check this as well. So we go to delete conversation, and it has conversation, message conversation. Oh, I missed the option, of course, so we need to go ahead and add option to that. Let's fix that. So let's go back into the option card. And here I missed option, so info dash option card. I knew that would be a problem. Let's go ahead and take another peek. Looks better. There we go. Looks good. And now obviously we're going to have some on top of this in the next episode. If we go ahead and delete conversation. So this deleted. I don't know why it didn't delete it out of this side. We'll take a look at that in between episodes, but it did delete it. If we go ahead and go into this one, come in here, go ahead and click leave conversation. It did the same thing, navigate us back. I need to look into what's going on with this chat. It might be, I don't know what's going on with this. I'll just double check the code in between recordings or something, but I'm going to go ahead and end it here. This one's getting pretty long. I'll try to figure out what the heck's going on with delete conversation and why it's not removing the entire conversation like it should. Because if we go into our Redux DevTools, go into open in a window. If we go in here, I guess we don't have it in here because we didn't have open, so I'm just getting sidetracked. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I'll figure out what's going on with that. So if you did enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where to start from absolute scratch to get the point now, there's a playlist going to be linked down below. With that being said, y'all, this has been Ethan, Aaron Encoder. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Alright, we have a couple minutes here. Let's see what's going down with this. So it's got to have something to do with the... Let's go and make a new message to Rick. Here. Rick. And then next. Okay, go to Rick. So if we open up our Redux DevTools. Redux DevTools. Not what I wanted. And open a window. There we go. Let's have this open. We load our conversation. We go in here. Click delete conversation. We have our leave got rejected still. Interesting. Why did leave get rejected? Go into our console or our network. Remove was ejected because of what? Cannot write JSON. No session. Ooh, lazy. Oh no, we didn't have this issue before. Let's see. No session, nested, exception. Failed to lazily initialize a collection. Not initialize proxy, no session, conversation message. Interesting. So what happens if we create a message in there? So let's refresh. Actually, is this because of... Let's go to the back end. Go into the conversation model. Is this because I did this? No. Let's see if I add dot conversation message equal to a new array list. Does matter to us about conversation message? So if we do that and restart the application, does that fix it? Because if that fixes it, I'll just add that into the next episode. Let it restart here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and hop back in, refresh it, make a new chat, going to say Rick. Next, open it up. Still getting a 500. Cannot write JSON. Why? Still mad about no session through reference chain conversation message. So what if we, like, I don't remember this being an issue whenever I was testing. Go ahead and say Rick next message. Okay, now if we come in here, delete conversation, still the same thing. Constraint nested exception cannot execute statement. User remove, but if we refresh, that time it actually didn't delete the user. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on here, because we did not have this bug before. Let's see here. Update or delete on conversations violates foreign key on table message. Conversation ID 2. So I'm wondering if I'm missing something here or what's going on with this. I don't want to spend all morning debugging this because I do want to get this done. But at the same time, like, why is this all of a sudden an issue whenever this wasn't an issue before? Is what I don't understand. And maybe I need to change something. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at this. We open up our, let's see here. Where's our constructor at? I'm gonna look at what my constructor looks like real quick, if I can find it. This doesn't even have a constructor, which is incorrect. This definitely has a constructor. So why is it saying there's no constructor on this conversation model? There we go. So yeah, we're not setting this automatically, so it's not this. So let's just double check our created by, and that should be fine. Conversation creator. The only difference is that in this toString, the conversation creator is .get user ID. That's the only difference in this. So that shouldn't cause the issue. And our conversation service is doing the same exact thing. Let me just double check our conversation service. So in our conversation service, our remove or whatever, we have a, so this is doing it on both of them. It doesn't matter where we do this. The conversation, get conversation by ID. Oh, this is the wrong one. Remove conversation. Conversation is get conversation by ID. Let me go ahead and double check this. If conversation.get conversation usage.size equal to 0, we delete the conversation and return the conversation. Like, are we having a hard time calling find by ID or what? Like, that's the only thing I can think of here. Unless it's this user all of a sudden. Let's just check this. We might only be recording one episode today, unfortunately. It's gonna throw me off this weekend, of course. So let's do this. I really don't know what the issue is here. Refresh this. Go and make a chat with Rick. Let's make a double chat first. Rick. Whoops. I said I was going to make a double chat and I didn't. Rick. and Morty. And then let's go and leave this conversation. So if we come in here, leave conversation. That one went through. Doesn't make any sense. So that one worked. Payload, preview, response. Got the conversation with the users. That one went through and worked. So what happens if we delete the single one now? We just do the Rick one. That one also worked. Is it really the... Interesting. Let's... Obviously not the system out print. We only changed one thing. Let's just try this again, then we'll start recording the next episode. And I stopped recording, right? Yes, I did. Cool. I'm just going to try this again. That means something's wrong inside of our modal or our slice then. Go ahead and say Rick. Next. Click on this. Click on this. Strange. Now it doesn't work. What? But it did work. Go ahead and make Rick again. Remove conversation, payload, passed in everything, preview. Is it... What is going on? That one did delete. Interesting. Whenever we system out print this, that is strange. What if we rework this to just remove the user first? And then if the size is equal to 1. Let's see what happens if we do this. So if we delete this, take this, do this, paste this in and say, hey, if the size is equal to 1, dang it, size is equal to 1, then do this. Let's see if like we have to try to use the conversation before we try to delete it or something. Let's go and restart again. We're running out of time to record the next episode. Of course, this is my luck. Try again. So do Rick and Morty. And then we'll go ahead and do a Rick. Whoops. Rick. So if we try to delete Rick and Morty, it worked fine. Now obviously this isn't working. Come in here, the response, excuse me, conversation ID 1. Okay. We go ahead and refresh. It just shows Rick. We come in here, go ahead and delete conversation, refresh, it went through. And it seems like these went through as well. So if we restart the application again, and let's try to delete Rick just single. So we need to figure out why the heck it's not filtering out the conversations properly. I just typoed inside the message slice. Let's give this another hard refresh and reload. Go ahead and say Rick. Next. Click on it. Okay, now that's working. Cool. So that's working now. Let's see what I typoed inside of our slice. So go into our front end. Oops. What are we doing here? Dude, what are we doing? There we go. Message slice. State.conversations.filter. I spelled conversation ID wrong. Okay. Conversation ID. Let's just give this one last test here. I'm going to restart the backend. Restart the backend. And then restart the front end, and we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, give this a refresh. Go ahead and hop in here. Rick. Next. There we go, and we're good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and start up the recording for the next one. And then hopefully I have enough time to go all the way through it. As long as it doesn't go over 55 minutes, which now that I said that's probably going to. But it is what it is. Alright, so let's go ahead and start the recording. And then we'll get going here. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys do want access to the private repository for this project, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the repository tier membership here on the channel, and that will go ahead and unlock you a form, which will give you, and that will go ahead and give you access to a form where you can go ahead and request access to any specific locked repository. Now that being said, let's go ahead and go over what we're going to work on today. First off, we need to go ahead and go over a couple of changes I made to go ahead and fix it so that we can actually remove people from a conversation or delete a conversation. And then we can go ahead and go through and finish the rest of the info side where we have all those different conversation info option cards to fill out. So with that being said, let's go and hop in the code and see what we get done today. So as I mentioned, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what we did to fix the issue with deleting users. So for some reason, there's an issue with lazy loading. So basically all I did was inside of the conversation service, remove user or delete conversation. I moved where we're checking to see how many users there are. And I went through and made sure we're initializing or loading everything inside this conversation by doing the deletion of the users first. And then we just check to see if there's only one conversation user left, and then return that conversation, and then the rest of this logic is the same. We also went ahead and made a small change in the conversation model itself. In the conversation, we went ahead and changed conversation creator to conversation creator.getID. I don't know if this is actually what fixed it or not, but this also helped. And then in the front end, in the message slice, we also made one change. So here in the message slice, we made a typo. Instead of saying conversation ID, it was typoed and spelled wrong. So that's what fixed that. So now let's go ahead and hop into the front end and just make sure we can in fact delete a conversation and I don't have to pull my hair out and it's broken again for some reason. So if we go ahead and create a conversation, let's go and just put Rick in here. Go ahead and click next. Go ahead and go in here. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Let's go back. Go ahead and come in here. Go ahead and delete conversation. You can see it goes away now. Terrific. So let's go ahead and just recreate our conversations. Let's go ahead and make a Rick and a Morty conversation. Then let's go ahead and also, make a Rick conversation just to have. All right, so now we can go ahead and go into Rick and Mort Dog, come in here, and we have this. So now we need to go ahead and finish these guys. And we also need to go ahead and finish the ones in here. So let's go ahead and hop into the code and get to work on finishing those. Back inside of our info pane, we need to go ahead and start coming down and filling out some of these. So we're going to go ahead and come above this generate message list first. Let's go ahead and delete this. We'll go ahead and also delete this. We'll go ahead and open this up here. So here above our members or below our members, whichever you want to see it, we're going to go ahead and say position is going to go ahead and be first. Then we're going to go ahead and have our leading So leading is going to go ahead and equal to add, and add is going to come from material UI. SX is equal to, and our height will be 20 px. Go ahead and set width also to 20 px, and then we're going to go ahead and have a color of black. So color and pound 000. Go ahead and close that guy. Then we're going to go ahead and have our content. Here in content, we're going to go ahead and have a div, div with a class name equal to, and here this is going to go ahead and be message page, and then conversation info pane, and then here we're going to go ahead and have thin dash text, and then inside here we're going to say add members like so, and then this one's also going to go ahead and on click equal to handle open add members. We'll see if we get to that point today or not. I'm not sure if we will. Okay, so there's that one. Now if we go ahead and scroll down a little bit more, we're going to have a couple here. So I believe these are the ones we want to work on next. So now we're going to go ahead and have our message conversation info option card. Here we're going to have a position, position equal to first. Below here we're going to have a leading. So leading is going to go ahead and be timer and then outlined. This is going to come from a UI. SX equal to height of 20 px. We'll have a width of 20 px, and then we're going to go ahead and have a color of pound 000. Okay, let's go ahead and close that off, and then we're going to go ahead and have our content equal to, here this is going to go have a div with a class name equal to, and again message dash page conversation dash, and then this one's going to go ahead and be info dash pane dash, and then text, I believe, like so. Here this one's going to go ahead and say, maybe if I can type, disappearing, and then messages. I'm sure it's like this, and then that's go ahead and be good for the content. And then trailing is going to equal to, have a div, the class name equal to message page conversation info info dash pane dash then dash text. It's also going to have a message dash page conversation info pane, and then this one's going to be option option, if I could type, oh my goodness, trailing. Okay, go ahead and close this guy off. A little bit long, but it is what it is. It's going to say off, and then here we're going to have a chevron, chevron right, I believe, from material UI. SX equal to, height will be equal to 20 px. We're going to go ahead and have a width equal to 20 px, and then we'll have a color, color of a pound 657786, like so. Go ahead and close that off. That's good for there. Then we're going to go ahead and close this. Now I'm fairly certain this one's going to be basically the same, except we have a slightly different SVG and text. So I'm just going to go ahead and yoink this guy and then paste him in here like so. Okay, so now instead of first, this one's going to go ahead and be middle, obviously. Middle, there we go. Instead of timer outline, we're going to go ahead and have our screenshot settings SVG. So let's go ahead and delete this. We're going to have our screenshot settings SVG, and I don't know if it's settings with an S, it is. And then our height, our height will equal to 20, our width will equal to 20, and then our color will equal to pound 000. We're going to go ahead and have to import that. So let's go ahead and deal with importing this now. Go ahead and come over here, import that. Then it's going to have the same thin text, but this is going to go and say screenshot settings, like so. So I guess this is uppercase for some reason. I don't know why. Sometimes they're uppercase, sometimes they're not. And then again, this is just going to say off with a chevron going to the side. So that looks good. Now what we need to go ahead and do is add the missing styles that we didn't have a couple episodes ago. So let's hop into the message page, conversation info, pane, CSS. Let's just come down to the bottom here. So first we have our message dash page, conversation, if I get to type conversation info, oh my goodness, info and then pane, and then we're going to have our thin dash text. Inside thin text, set margin to 0. Go ahead and set the padding to 0. And then we're going to have a font dash size of 15px. We're going to have a font dash weight of 400, and then have a color, color of black. If I could type black, maybe. Oh my goodness. We have our dot message, page, conversation, and then info, pane, and then here we have our option, and then trailing. So our trailing option will be display of flex. We're going to go ahead and justify content in the flex bucket type dash start. Then we're going to go ahead and align items in the center and have a small gap of 8px. This kind of should wrap up the work that we were going to try to finish in the last episode. We had to move some stuff around because we needed extra work done in Java. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this. Make sure everything's looking okay. Debug any CSS. And then we're going to go ahead and get started on generating our member list, which is also going to go ahead and use our option card that we created in the previous episode. So back in Java, now you can see that we have these. They're not going to do anything. That is fine. And then if we go ahead and come back into like Rick and Morty, you can go ahead and see we have add members. So we need to go ahead and generate that members list. So that's looking good. Now all we need to go ahead and do is work on this members list. And then we'll see if we have time to do the add members. We might run out of time and might move that to the next episode. We'll see. But let's hop back into the code and start working on our generate members list. So we need to go ahead and come back into our message page conversation info pane. Back in the info pane, let's come back up to our generate members. Alrighty, and now we get to do some fun stuff. So if we have a conversation, we need to go ahead and do some work. So we're going to say user list is equal to, and this is going to go ahead and be conversation, conversation, and then creator. So we're going to go ahead and put them first. Then we're going to go ahead and create a list without them. So const user list without admin. And admin might mean something else than what I'm doing, but I don't really care. So conversation, the conversation users dot filter. We're gonna go ahead and filter user, and then user dot user ID. It's not equal to, and then our conversation dot conversation creator dot user ID. So go ahead and get rid of that user ID, and then we're gonna go ahead and say users list dot push. We're gonna go ahead and push the dot user list without admin. So now we put the admin or the creator on top, and then all the other members below. Then we're gonna go ahead and have a const select user, and this is gonna be for something we do later on. Index is a number. Go ahead and do an arrow function, and we're going to say set selected user index to that index. Cool. And then now we can go ahead and start on the return. So return, we're going to go ahead and have a set of fragments like so, and I'm actually going to wrap this inside of parentheses just because I think it looks a little bit nicer. So let's go and wrap that in parentheses. Go ahead and bring this down like so, bring that down, clean this up. Then we're going to have a set of curly braces. Inside the curly braces, we're going to say user users list dot map. We're going to go and say user and index. Go ahead and bring that in and do our arrow function. And then inside of here, what we're going to go ahead and do is, I guess I will go ahead and bring this out just to make it a little bit easier to read. And I think I have a little bit of a spacing issue, but I guess it is what it is. First, we're going to say const position, I think that's spelled right, is equal to index equal to conversation dot conversation users dot length question mark. So then we're going to go ahead and have last, otherwise middle. So this is just going to be for styling the card basically. Then we can go ahead and say return. Then we'll go ahead and return our message conversation info option card. Our position is going to equal to that position we just created. And then we're going to go ahead and have, and I think we're missing something here or not, I'm not sure. We're going to have our leading. is equal to, and this is going to be a profile picture. Profile picture. Inside profile picture, user is going to equal to user, and then our size is going to equal 24px. Go and close out of that, and also do this and make sure we don't accidentally close out of leading. Hello, can you stop? Thank you. And then our content is going to be a little bit fun. This maybe could have been something, but it is what it is. Div class name equal to, and we're going to message page dash conversation dash info dash pane dash member. So when you go through and actually find this stuff as well, it's gonna be fun. Div class name message page conversation info pane dash, and then this is going to be thin dash text, so we already have that at least. And here we're going to say user dot nickname like that. Then we're going to come outside of this member div, I think, or the thin text div. We're going to have conversation dot conversation creator dot user ID is equal to user dot user ID. So if this is the case, we're going to go ahead and have something special in here. So here we're going to go ahead and have a div, the class name equal to message page conversation dash info dash pane dash member dash admin. Okay, and then this is just going to go ahead and simply say admin inside this div. Go and say admin like so. Then we come outside of this admin, and that's actually everything for the content. We'll have our trailing equal to, and then inside trailing we're going to say conversation dot conversation creator dot user ID is not equal to user dot user ID question mark. We'll have a div class name equal to, and then here this is going to be message page conversation dash info dash pane dash member dash more. And then we also need an on click on this guy, so let's actually go ahead and do one of these. Let's bring this down. Let's go ahead and bring this over, throw an on click on here. On click is going to be equal to, we'll go ahead and say select user, and then pass in that index of the user that we just selected. And then in here we're going to go ahead and have a more horizontal from a to UI sx equal to height will be 20. Oh my goodness, what even happened there? $20px. Our width will equal to 20px, and then our color is going to equal to #657786. Let's go and close out this more horizontal, and then here we're going to say selected user index, and then is equal to the current index, and then we're going to go ahead and have a pop-up that will pop up here at some point. So this will be message and then page group and user more pop-up. We'll go ahead and work on that at a different time. This is going to be how we like remove a user. And then otherwise, if it's the admin, we're going to go ahead and just display nothing in the trailing like so. Okay, and then I think we need to go ahead and close out of this guy. We have a return, and I think that's basically everything for this. Now the question is, do we have any errors, and is it going to show up properly? So we have our generate members list. That is looking fine. Cool. And we are calling generate members list down here, I believe. Members. And then we have our add members and generate members list. So I think everything's in place. Let's just go ahead and see if we can see our members. So now obviously we need to style these. But you can see this is looking good. And this one is scuffed for some reason. I'm not sure why this one doesn't have last. So maybe we should go ahead and see why this one doesn't have last. Then also I'm wondering, oops, because we don't have more done, that's fine. So we need to fix the admin, obviously. We'll fix that in a second. And I don't know why this isn't getting last. So let's go ahead and double check that up here inside of the more. So here is, this should be probably -1. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go, looks a lot better. Now we need to go ahead and deal with the CSS that we just added. Let me go ahead and scroll up and find that CSS and bring it down. So we're gonna go ahead and need the, let's see here. We need all the member stuff. So member and member admin and member more, and then more hover, I believe. I think that's everything we need. So let's go ahead and bring this down to where I was working. And this is gonna be really fun to deal with later, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into the CSS and make sure these are looking good as well. Back in the CSS, let's go ahead and come to the bottom here. Message dash page, conversation, info, pane, oh my goodness. And then here we're gonna go ahead and start with member. So for member, we're gonna go ahead and display flex. We're gonna go ahead and justify content and the flex dash start, maybe. And then we're gonna go ahead and have align items in the center. We're going to align, we already did align item center, and we're gonna have a gap of 8 px. Next, we're gonna have our dot message dash page dash conversation info dash pane dash, and then member admin. So inside member admin, height is going to be set to 28 px, not 27, 28. There we go. And then our width is going to be set to 28 px as well. Actually, wrong. Width is going to be whatever. We're going to have a padding. Padding. I cannot type of 8 px. Then after padding, color is going to be pound and then 657786. Outside of this, we're going to have a background dash color, and this one is an interesting color, pound, and then F0, F4, F5. Again, I yoinked that straight from Twitter. Border will be none, and then we're gonna have a border dash radius of 14 px. Outside of that, we have a font dash size of 11 px, and then a font dash weight of 600. Next, we'll have our dot message dash page dash conversation info dash pane dash, and then here we're going to go and have our member dash more. Inside member more, width is going to be 32 px, height will be 32 px, and then we're going to have position is relative. Inside here, we're going to go ahead and display flex, and then we will have a justify content in the center and align items in the center. We're going to say border none, and then it's going to go ahead and have a border dash radius of 100%. And then we're going to get funky again. So we're going to have a message page conversation info, maybe pane dash member dash more colon hover. And then here we're going to go ahead and say not, and then colon has. We're going to do the same thing that we had to deal with before. And then this is going to be dot message dash page dash group dash user dash more pop-up dash selection colon hover. Hopefully I spelled that right. And then here cursor is pointer. And then we're going to have a background dash color RGBA 000.1. There we go. Okay, so hopefully I didn't typo this. Basically, once again, if we're hovering over one of the pop-up selections, we don't want to hover. So let's just go ahead and make sure this looks good. All right, we hover over it, and I scuffed this somehow. I don't know how. It looks like I messed up this should be bottom left. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, but this looks a lot better. let's see what's going on inside the selection card here, or the option card. So here last, this should be bottom. I don't know how I didn't catch this before. Bottom right radius. Take one more peek. There we go, looks better. Then whenever we click on this, it'll go ahead and pop that up. Refresh this to get to go away. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're at 24 minutes or so. I don't know if we're gonna have time to do everything, but let's at least go ahead and get working on opening up this pop-up, and then maybe in the next episode we'll work on actually doing the logic inside the pop-up, and I think that might be a good place to stop. So let's go ahead and hop back into the code and get to work on this little pop-up that shows up here. Back in our code, let's open up our Explorer, go into our messaging components, and we message page, and it's going to be group, whoops, maybe, group, and then we're going to say user or pop-up slash message page, and then group and user more popup.tsx, message page, and then group user more popup.css. Hop in here, go ahead and import React from React. Also go and import our / message page, and then this was group user more popup.css, I believe. So let's just double check that. Message page group user more popup. Terrific. Let's go and say export const message page, and then group. Make sure we put in user or popup is a React, whoops, react.fc. We'll go ahead and need some state and props here. We'll deal with that in a second. Have to go ahead and return our div, the class maybe class name equal to, and then this is message page group user more, and then pop-up. So let's just get the pop-up done and styled, and then in the next episode we'll go ahead and deal with the logic inside of it, and I'll deal with also moving some code around if we need to. So this is going to have an interface, and we'll go ahead and call this message page, and then group user and more pop-up props, a mouthful. And here we're going to have user, which is the specific user from our global interfaces. We're going to have an on click outside, and this is going to go ahead and be an e react.mouse event. I think it's just a mouse event. Actually, it is on a HTML div element, I guess. And then this is just going to return void like so. So whenever we click off of it, what's going to happen? Let's go ahead and bring this in. So here we're going to go ahead and have our, whoops, not like that. Do it properly, message page pop-ups. Go ahead and come in here. We'll go ahead and have our user, and we'll have our on click outside. Go ahead and deal with the state. We're going to have our const token and logged in equal to use state, or actually use selector, I'm sorry. It would be state root state. And then here we're going to go ahead and have our state dot user. Next we're going to have a const conversation, whoops, conversation equal to use selector, and then this would be state, whoops, 1 second, I might need to go help my daughter. State root state dot, and then here we're going to go ahead and have our state dot message, I believe. Let me save this. I can't tell if she's out of bed or if she was just moving, so I might need to get up in a second. And then after this I have a const dispatch, and then inside this dispatch it'll be an app dispatch like so is equal to use dispatch. All right, I think she might just be moving because she's not making a bunch of noise. Next I have const popup ref is equal to use ref. This is going to go ahead and have an HTML div element like that, or we could say or null, whoops, or null, and then pass it in null. And then we'll say use click outside, go and bring in that use click outside, go ahead and pass in that pop-up ref, and then we'll go ahead and pass in on click outside to call that handler. Then we'll have const handle remove user. Let me spell const right, const handle remove user like so equal to e react.mouse event on HTML, whoopsie daisies, HTML, and then div element, HTML, div element, there we go. And then here we'll have an arrow function. Inside this arrow function, we're just going to e-stop-propagation, and we'll circle back and fix that. So that is our logic in state. Let's come in here, we'll have a div, class name, equal to message page, and then group user, more, and then pop up, and then dash selection. So now we have our selections, and here we're gonna have our messages SVG, and this is gonna have a height of 20, have a width equal to 20, and then it's gonna have a color equal to, and then black. So that's good. And then here I have a P, class name equal to, and then message page, group dash user dash more dash pop up dash, and then this one is going to be text. Okay, inside the text we're going to go ahead message this user. This is not going to do anything because I don't care that much. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and have another selection. So let's go ahead and copy this again. So copy this, come in here and paste it in. So we have our selection again. This one's going to be our pencil edit SVG. Say pencil edit SVG, import that. Height, width, all of that's the same. And then here, instead of messages user, this one is going to go ahead and be set nickname. Again, we're not going to do that. It's not like a primary function of Twitter. We're making trade-offs here to get this series done. And then paste it in again. Once again, we have our message group selection. This one we will have an on click on. So let's go ahead and say on click is going to equal to handle remove user, like so. And then here, this one's going to remove follower SVG. So let's go ahead and delete this. So remove follower SVG. And this one is going to have a color of red. So let's go ahead and say color equal to red. And then here, we're also going to have a style on this one. Style is equal to set the color equal to red. Red, like so. And then this one is going to say remove from group. So remove from group. So that is our pop-up. Now we need to go ahead and style it. And once we get the handle remove user all set up, we'll go ahead and also deal with the logged in token and all of that stuff. But let's just go and style this. So let's hop into the CSS. Inside the CSS, let's go and say .message, .message page, and then dash group user more, and then pop up. Inside here, we're going to say width is 225 px. We're going to go ahead and set the height equal to 138 px. Then we'll have a padding of 8 px0. Next, we'll say position is going to be absolute. We're going to go ahead and position this top 36 px, and then we're going to say left, maybe left 50%. Then we need to go ahead and say transform. Here we're going to go ahead and translate x, and this is going to be negative 50% to kind of center it. We're going to say border is none. We're going to have a border dash radius of 8 px. Outside of our border radius, we're going to have a box dash shadow. Here we're going to say RGBA 0,0,0.2. We're going to say 0px, and then 0px, 5px, and 15px, kind of like our normal box shadow. Have a background color on this of white, so it's not see-through. Then it says a quick z index of 10 on it, so it's above everything. Then we'll do a dot message page group user pop-up, and this is our selection. Inside selection, we'll say width is 100%. 100%. We're going to say height is 40 px, and then padding will be 0, and then 24 px, like so. Display flex this. We'll go ahead and justify content. in the flex dash start, we're going to align items in the center. We're going to have a gap of 12px. Then we're going to go ahead and have our dot message page selection colon hover. So in our hover, we're going to have a cursor, a pointer, and then we're going to go ahead and have a background dash color. And this is going to be RGBA of 0, 0, 0.1. And then finally, we have our message page pop-up slash text. Inside text, margin will be equal to 0. We have a padding equal to 0. A font dash size will be 15px. Oops, 15px. And then finally, a font dash weight we set to 600. So in theory, that should be everything we need as long as we import everything properly. So now let's go ahead and hop back into the info pane and actually use this bad boy. So back in here, let's go ahead and remove this. So it's going to be the message and then page group, group user more pop-up. User, user will equal to the user. Then on click outside is going to go ahead and equal to, and then close group pop-up. Maybe. I think we have a closed group user pop-up. There we go. Go ahead and do that. Save it. Okay, everything is looking fine. So now let's go ahead and hop into Twitter or Fwitter and make sure this is popping up properly. And then this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but that's fine because we've had some really long ones in the past here. Back in Twitter, so now if we go ahead and hover over this and click on this, you can go ahead and see that it's not hovering over anything. And then these, I'm not going to worry about actually being able to message them or anything, but we'll be able to actually click on remove from group in a second in the next episode, and then be able to remove them. And then for some reason, click outside is not working. Interesting. Let's just double check our closed group user pop-up. So set selected user index -1. Okay, and then on click, we have closed user group pop-up, and then here selected user index is equal to the index. So I'm not sure why it's not setting the index properly. Let's just console log. What are we getting in here? Console.log, and then set index to -1. Okay, so that should be getting there. And then let's see here. And this should be right. Selected user index is equal to index. And index should not be -1. So let's see what's going on with this really quick. Unless I'm just missing something, we click, oops, let's unselect this, click outside. Okay, so it's not actually calling it, so did I miss something here? So on click outside, we passed on click outside, right? Yep, on click outside, it should be calling it. So I'm not sure what's going down. Oh, you know what? We never set the ref. Let's go and fix that. Let's hop back into the group more pop-up. So we need to come in here and we need to set up the ref. So it's null right now, so it's not doing anything. Ref is equal to pop-up ref. Let's try again. Now if we click outside, much better. There we go. So there is this. So this is basically everything inside this page. The last thing that we need to go ahead and do is be able to click on this, open up to add more members, then also be able to do this and remove from group. So that's what we'll go ahead and work on in the next episode. If you guys did enjoy, please do a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where we started from absolute scratch to get to the point right now, there's a playlist listed in the video description below. With that being said, y'all, this has been Ethan Around Encoder, and I hope. With that being said, y'all, this has been Ethan Around Encoder. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Alright, so that one wasn't as dramatic. I need to kind of go through, I need to kind of go through and move some of the code around that I moved around, because there's still some more code from, let's see here. I think there's still more code that I moved other places. So here's some missing styles, generate members list. I moved this code. Let's see here. Copy all of this stuff and bring it into this episode. So I use ChatGPT to help me generate the summaries of what I did throughout the episode, just because it's more accurate than me. Yeah, I think the rest of this is fine. I just wanted to make sure that my descriptions are accurate whenever I list out what we worked on in a specific video / episode. So I think this is accurate now. Episode 181, and close out this. We're basically done with this page, other than just a couple of actions, and then we're gonna work on some searching and stuff in future. So let's just double check. We did all this properly. Generate members. We have the CSS. We have this. We styled this, and then we moved the logic of actually removing a user to the next episode. Terrific. So that's good to go for our outline later whenever I generate the outline for the upload. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of OBS. Let's going to go ahead and do it for this stream. So appreciate everyone that did stop by. I'm going to go ahead and call it. That way I can start editing the next video. So I still have 3 videos to edit. So I need to take as much time as I can to edit. But again, appreciate anyone that did stop by or anyone that's watching the VOD later on. This has been Ethan or Uncoder. Have a great day, and I'll see you all hopefully in the next video or live stream.